Lord and ladies, and welcome back to Rosewater. A lot happened last episode. We got into the laboratory and tried to get stuff active. Partially got the devices active. The place has been looted, turned out by a cult. And let's just say that they have some pretty worrying views involving disintegration and heaven.
Begging your pardon.
How may I help?
What is it you do around here?
Plenty. I help in the fields and in the kitchen, but my particular gift is keeping Chrysalis beautiful and its people inspired. All the murals and paintings you see around the commune are my work.
1 second, folks. So about it, folks. I had to step away for a second.
And a fine job you've done.
Why, thank you.
Must have kept you busy for a while.
Quite. There's still so much I'm looking forward to doing.
How did you end up here in Chrysalis?
Ethericity always fascinated me. I joined up with the Luminarians when they were passing through Rampton on their way west. We founded Chrysalis here, close to the Evocator's laboratory, and where the veil is parted.
The Veil?
The boundary between our world and the ether. The realm of the cosmos, home of the luminous ones. The barrier is very thin here. Can't you feel it?
There's definitely something in the air. I've noticed you all sure are fond of butterflies.
What better creature to symbolize transcendence? Like butterflies, we too will undergo a metamorphosis, pass through the veil into the ether, and join the luminous ones. Not only that, their wings have 8 sections, and they flap in a figure 8 pattern.
Does that mean something?
Evocator Bennett's sacred number, of course.
Sacred number? What does that mean?
The number 8 is very important. It appears constantly in the Evocator's writings. And Bennett himself was born on the 8th of August, 1788.
That's quite a coincidence.
Coincidence is mere illusion.
What's the meaning behind those shadow paintings?
Yeah, I have a feeling I know what it is, and it's not nice.
We commemorate those who have transcended, and those who will.
Hence the butterflies?
Very astute. Yes, the butterfly represents the immortal soul, the essence of a person in their fullest flourishing. The butterfly is pure potential, contained within those who have not yet transcended. Once someone has passed into the ether, it is released and flies free.
Why, that's mighty poetical.
I can see that you have quite a bold, brilliant butterfly stirring within you.
You don't say. You see that, do you?
If you permit me, it would be my honor to paint it. Only if you're willing, of course. Everyone's journey to transcendent readiness is unique.
Perhaps you could tell me more about it once Harley's done talking.
With pleasure.
Did you ever meet Dr. Clark?
I did. Once. Such a brilliant mind. We didn't speak long, but I felt as though we'd conversed for hours.
Do you have an idea of where Dr. Clark might be currently?
Of course. He's with the luminous ones.
Pardon?
The beings on the other side of the veil. The ones who dwell in the ether.
You're saying Clark is dead?
Not dead. Transcended. Eternal. You still have much to learn. It's good you're with us now. Everything will become clear soon. Trust me.
What exactly was Dr. Clark's etheric research about?
Truth.
Lovely sentiment, but could you be a bit more specific?
He sought to connect us with the world above, to unite us with the luminous ones. He succeeded in not only opening the door, but stepping through and crossing the veil. He showed that the way is possible. Now we all must learn to follow.
All right. Thanks for the chat.
Be well.
Don't wander too far now.
The butterflies sure seem to like these flowers. A reliable water supply is everything out here. Hey, Danny?
What's going on?
So, what's our friend on stage been jabbering about?
What hasn't he? This guy makes Jake seem like a silent monk by comparison. Anyway, it's mostly been about Clark. His etheric research in New Bretagne, how he built his lab out here after the Expo disaster. Excuse me, miracle? That sort of thing. He says Clark transcended. I'm not sure what that means.
I get the impression it means he's dead.
Oh, that's too bad.
What's your impression of Chrysalis?
Well, it's peculiar. Everybody's got a job to do, a way to help. Nobody's left out, and that's nice. But all this stuff about etheric beings? It sounds,
Crazy?
You said it, not me.
Sounds a bit cultish.
Anyhow, I wouldn't mind hanging around a while.
I was wondering if you might help me out with something.
What?
There's a toolbox inside Clark's lab that's out of reach, and I've had no luck getting it down. Think you might put your pistols to the task? I asked Jake to do it, but he said you were the one for the job.
I could do that. Yeah. You want to go right now?
Perhaps not this very instant.
No problem. Just...
Okay.
I'll leave you. He does go on, doesn't he? They're really fond of this butterfly motif, aren't they?
I kind of like it.
My friends, today we give thanks for our manifold blessings. On this day of celebration, the Evocator's Day of Transcendence. And why do we celebrate today, on the 8-month anniversary? Because one is nothing special. One is an isolating, selfish, lowly number. But 8 is perfection. 8 is infinity. 8 is the flap of the butterfly's wings. On this day in March of this year, exactly 8 months ago, the luminous ones called Evocator Bennett up to join them in the luminiferous ether. In so doing, they showed us the path of light, where soon we all shall follow. Now our soul sibling Bennett dwells among them in the etheric realm beyond this earth, in a transcendent union of cosmic harmony and peace.
Yeah, that all sounds really nice, but if the whole soon to join him thing is a bit worrying when stuff like
Hey,
disintegration is involved.
What's going on?
Let's go see about...
Sure thing.
Ah, Phil. There you are.
Had enough of those luminous lunatics too, did you?
Not entirely. Danny's come to help get that box down. That's it, up there.
Right. You might want to stand over on this side, Phil.
Nice shot.
Thanks, Harley. Happy to help. So, what's inside that box that's so important anyway?
Guess we all get to find out together. Hey, Phil, let's talk.
What about?
A bunch of Clark's things are collected at the commune, but one of the Luminarians is guarding the place.
Naturally. Are you seeking a distraction?
If you have an idea, I'm all ears.
It just so happens I do. I have had a look around, and this machinery is quite unstable. With a few more items, I could finish what we started with the door and send this whole place up in smoke. That would give you time to search, no?
It would, but it seems a touch extreme. What would you need exactly?
Well, mainly fertilizer and flammable liquid for accelerant. I can construct a detonator out of scrap I found, but I will need something to serve as the plunger to set it off.
Well, I'll consider it. Right? Hey,
We can chat later.
Let's have a look at the box.
there's more than one way to get a box open.
Well, anything good inside?
Not really. Just a wrench and this odd dial thing.
I hope it was worth the trouble, then.
That was good practice, at least. I'm heading back to Chrysalis. See you both later.
Okay, so we got...
A round dial with a small red notch on it.
Okay, and a screwdriver. And a wrench, sorry.
Some kind of console.
Okay, so that's missing.
One of the dials is missing. Just my luck.
Okay, so that's going to be this dial. 9207.
It won't turn any further that way.
To 92. Oh. Seven.
Must be what makes this thing go. Phil, you might want to... Move. Are you all right?
I think so. The cage seems to have absorbed all that energy. Just warn me before you try that again.
So, this console operates equipment by setting the dials in a 4-digit sequence. That means we need to figure out the right code to get the door open. At least Clark did his testing on mannequins, not people.
As far as we know.
He said 8 was important.
I can't see through. I can't really see through the porthole, but it looks dense. Empty. I can't make heads nor tails.
So we have a wrench. He said 8 was important. Let's try his birthday. So 17.
It won't turn any further that way.
88, perhaps.
Not Clark's birth year. Guess that would have been too obvious.
Okay. Maybe.
It won't.
Maybe 888.
Not Clark's birthday. Good to know he wasn't quite so conceited.
What do we have available?
February 12th, 1850. Dr. Clark, I hope this letter, upon hearing when they, after enduring one day when rationality with warm rig. P.S. How you managed to rig a TT-180 console to control...
Okay.
A wrench.
Gonna be in his notes. Okay.
Seems to be working.
We can't look at that.
It's working again. Not Clark's birthday. Good to know he wasn't quite so conceited.
Okay.
No good. I guess those dials aren't set up correctly.
Okay. So we need to figure out how to get in.
I will stay in.
Whatever turning on that generator did, I hope it's not permanent. All right then.
Let's try and figure out.
Hey!
What is it?
Did Captain Stokes come back here? We lost sight of him after the attack.
He's here. Don't think he's up to receiving anyone, though.
I found the flag Stokes was carrying out on patrol. Thought he might like it back.
It's very noble of you, miss. I'll make sure he gets it.
Carry on, soldier.
Right.
Okay.
No handles.
He's not going to let us in. Okay. Okay, what? We need to figure out the code, and it's going to be in the paperwork.
Kitchen to the left. Nadine,
Of course.
any ideas as to how to get that fellow over there away from his post?
Be confident?
Afraid this situation's a bit more complicated than that. Still good advice, though. I'll leave you to your conversation. I've got more important concerns right. I've got more.
Okay, so we can't talk to him. Let's talk to her, because she actually talked to Clark.
Best not to interrupt. Could we have a word in private?
Sure.
What's on?
I got a theoretical question for you.
Shoot.
Say you needed to come up with a sequence of 4 numbers. What would you pick to make it easy to remember?
Hell, that's easy. 1817.
That didn't take you long.
It's the year I broke my first filly, if you get my meaning. Not something one forgets easily.
Right. I'll just leave you to it then.
Maybe the disaster? 1847.
Hey,
What's going on?
if you had to pick a 4-digit number sequence that was easy to remember, what would you pick?
Suppose it'd be something important? A date, maybe? Or a memorable year? Never really thought about it.
I'll leave you to the lecture.
Okay, so it's not going to be his birthday because that's too obvious. So it's going to... I bet you we set it up to the day that the accident happened. I don't want to blow this place up, though, because this kind of effect is going to be weird. It was 1847, I believe it was. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. 1847.
It won't turn any further. No good. I guess those dials aren't set up correctly.
I swore it'd be 1847.
It's the code to activate the ceiling cannon. If only Clark had written down the code for that door. TT-180 must be this contraption's model number.
The thing is, I don't know what it could be. It's 1847 was... Okay.
February 12th, 1850. Dr. Clark, I hope that upon hearing news of the reactionary, when they hounded you out after the expo, and I wouldn't be surprised if after endure one day with war. P.S.
1850 then, maybe? Or 49, because he's supposed to have disappeared. Last year?
No good. I guess those... No good. I guess those dials aren't...
I hate puzzles like this, which are really obtuse. It's not his birthday. It's not the day. It's not the accident day. It's not the day he did it last year.
I can't make heads nor tails of this chicken. At least Dr. Clark
I don't know what we're supposed to do. I got a wrench. I don't know what we can do anything with.
Just a bunch of useless books.
Oh, and we can't look for the books for anything. Okay.
Hey, Phil.
What about?
Any ideas what the code for the door might be?
It could be anything. Are you intending to guess it?
Unless I find it written somewhere, I don't see any other way.
Santa Maria, that could take months. If what is behind that door is so important, then the code itself must be something meaningful to Clark. Maybe you can deduce it by learning more about him. I am certain those payasos at the commune will have plenty to share.
Right?
Okay. Problem is we've talked to people already. He was fixated on 8.
I will stay.
Why can't it just be slightly simpler?
Here, in Chrysalis, and on the other side, the luminous ones are waiting. When he first arrived here, in that twice-blessed year, for never forget that 8 is the most sacred number, Evocator Bennett perhaps did not yet know that he was building a temple. But that is what it was, my friends. A temple, a lighthouse, a shining beacon in the dark. A divine instrument that would pierce the cosmic veil, letting the ether's light shine through to guide us, calling the luminous ones, calling us here. We will never forget the momentous occasion when this holy work began, when Evocator Bennett came west after the Lamplight City miracle to break ground for a new laboratory. And he raised a light to the heavens and cried, "Let me in!" And 2 years later, his call was answered. And he was taken up into the etheric realm.
Okay. So, 1849? Like, I'm trying to hit at straws here, because obviously, unless it's the day and the month, but that's gonna be really annoying if that's the case. Okay. 18...
No good. I guess those dials aren't set up correctly.
This is... What do you mean not set up correctly? Like what year is it today?
Well, I'll be.
1848. Maybe I had one day off then.
Nicely done.
Well, nothing horrible came out. Shall we?
After you?
Oh, a year later he came north, and then 2 years later. Okay. So I got my maths mixed up. Either that or there's been an error in programming, I don't know. Okay.
Santo cielo.
What in the ether happened in here?
I do not know, but I am not going in any further.
Using ether electricity to do plant growth by the looks of it.
Hey, Phil?
What about?
Right. These mannequins are disturbingly lifelike. This one's posed like it's reaching for something.
Clark's research involved playing with life-size dolls? Que locura!
This one's just staring at his buddy. This one seems to be the happiest of the bunch.
How can you tell?
It's the only one smiling. This one's missing its head. I wonder how that happened.
I can die happy never finding out.
That mannequin's head fell over here and has been wrapped up by a tomato vine. This might be of interest to our friend. This pumpkin is thriving, despite being sealed in here with no water or sunlight.
There is something very unnatural about all this.
Ripe and juicy tomatoes. How can they grow without any soil?
Easy. Devilry.
These squashes look healthy. I've never seen anything like that before.
Nope. And I never want to see anything like it again.
Some huge green bean pods. This one's missing its head.
I can die happy.
These squashes look healthy. Ripe and juicy tomatoes. Completely overgrown.
Probably for the best.
Something to do with plant life, maybe. Let's try this. I know it does the gun, but I want to just the stuff in the room.
I'm starting up the device again.
Okay, so nothing in there.
I will.
Okay, let's try and get in. Now, so I always hate puzzles like that. You see where it's a little bit obtuse. So I got my maths mixed up, but I thought. Nah, maybe I just got my maths wrong.
I've got more important. This is easily one of the strangest things I've ever had in my possession. Have a look at this.
What? Where did this come from?
Clark's lab. His test room, to be precise.
You were able to get inside?
Sure was. It was full of plants and all kinds of weird equipment. The ethericity seems to have boosted the growth of the seeds somehow. It's like a jungle in there.
I cannot condone your reckless disregard for the sanctity of the laboratory. But I also cannot deny the importance of this discovery. I must alert Emissary Paul immediately.
I'd better be quick. No telling when that chump might come back. The things some people will keep for posterity, I'll never understand. The thing...
Okay, so we need to look at his lab notes.
More scrawled nonsense. Why would they keep this? Let's see. Books on science, engineering, astronomy. I'm sure this is all fascinating, but it's not going to help me any. Lots more books. And what's this? Looks like a diary.
I should have known. Get out of here this instant, degenerate! Don't you dare try any more trickery, or Emissary Paul will hear of it.
At least I found what I was looking for.
Okay.
All good? Yes.
Okay, so what does this diary say?
I should probably get out of beer. The final entry is bookmarked with a letter. Definitely worth a read. But first...
March 13th, 1845. I'm embarking on a new project, which means a new journal. Here I will record my notes and the observations from a series of experiments on the generation of application of herrick energy. I believe it will be profitable, harvested from the very air and harnessed for the immense number of beneficial uses. I see the streets of Atlantic City glow with the smoke, flicker of flame from burning costly oil, but with brighter ferric light from a lamp they need no fuel. I see compact, efficient ferric engines replacing the bulky, limited diffusion generators that drive Her Majesty's airships. I see our nascent mills and manufacturing humming, kept in motion not with the sweat of the brow or the built fumes of coal fires, but with the clean, abundant power of efficacity. Applications are limitless, but before they can be realised, I must turn my attention to practical problems of efficient generation, not to mention safe, reliable storage. Even if energy can be summoned from the atmosphere on command, some intermediate storage device would be necessary to absorb the excess and release it into the controlled fashion. Absent such a mechanism to modulate the unpredictable flow of raw power, the effect could be akin to cooking one's breakfast by exploding a stick of dynamite. Tomorrow I must visit Commingham's to order glass tubes and ampules, as he was always taking weeks to deliver. I hope he has also a magnet in hand of sufficient quantity so I can start experimenting with it right away. But I will try the iron fillings first. If not, down the last spool of copper wire, must pick up more, and I must stop by the office of the Gazette soon to circulate the advertisement for a new assistant in the weekend edition. Much to do. 1846. Some days of work have been maddeningly slow, and some days seem to be advanced by leaps and bounds. I keep kept too busy to think often of writing on this journal, yet I have made notable progress. I have built a first prototype capable of harnessing the ambient etheric potential and channeling it to produce energy. In this instance, heat. There is yet no flow of a regulated mechanism, so the entire energy yield feeds directly into a copper heating element. Suspended within a water-filled cylinder fixed with a thermometer. The top is left open to vent the steam, which is frequently produced in abundance. In future, naturally, the entire heating coil system tube apparatus would be replaced with another assembly capable of converting ethericity into useful energy to generate light, say, or mechanized motion. The prototype does not appear capable of yet generating heat beyond the material tolerance. However, I have reached the limitations of this particular configuration. Without hazarding a face full of superheated steam and shattering glass, I cannot say with confidence even now that around them a harmonic flux in the atmosphere would not cause a sudden spike in ferric energy that could produce such a result. Now that the principle has been proven, we must experiment with introducing a regulator to throttle the control of the flow for both safety and practicality. There remains no inconsequential matter of funding. There remains the not inconsequential matter of funding. It has taken longer than anticipated to reach even the early milestone. Beyond the initial outlay for equipment, I had not accounted the necessity of covering rent on the old Turnbull steel storehouse, nor wages for my assistant Frank for so long a term. I have readily removed from Mrs. Clarkstone's modest but comfortable lodgings to a garret over the storehouse, a move which has proven economically as regard to time and money, if rather less satisfactory in matter of board. I fear I do not give Mrs. Clarkstone's Sunday roast quite the credit I now realise. In want of them was their due. And how long does this thing go on for? Okay. Despite the savings very afforded, my meagre reserves will soon be depleted, and at this rate, unless I induce a benefactor to retrieve me from this peculiar obligation. 1846. At Frank's insistence, I have embarked on a program of fortnight public demonstrations of our apparatus, a brief lecture on the principles of efficacity, followed by practical display of generator's operation, offered to all corners or as many as would fit within the storehouse free of charge. I can confess that at first I regarded this pageantry as a distraction from work, a senseless bit of spectacle to dazzle the simple tradesfolk and labourers who occupy this district. However, Frank persuaded me that attracting the investor would require some measure of transparency as to my research. And while it is true that most who attended my presentation came seeking thrills rather than intellectual or financial engagement, putting on these shows has allowed word to spread, and as some are beginning to take notice. Last month's published proceedings of the Presbyterian Royal Society of Natural Philosophy contain a mention of rumours of research into the generation of ephemetic power by Mr. Clark of Turnbull Street. I leave aside that this misspelled my name and omitted my title, and that everyone can pay society dues and have the credentials intended to be observed, but they know enough of my work to have it spoken of it in those lofty chambers of knowledge and opportunity, and in what matters. And since I did accurately remark on the address of my laboratory, perhaps one or two of these learned gentlemen might be persuaded to visit and see my work for themselves. I shall pen a letter to Society Secretary at once. 1847. With introductions and encouragement lately extended by Dr. Neversole, the second Vice President of the VNSNP, I have secured connections sufficient to gain my place in a ferretic pavilion to installed at Limepole City Global Expo this very summer. No, not only will I have the opportunity to demonstrate my ferretic generator before a grand public audience, as a condition of my participation, Harmon and Grove, chief sponsors of the exhibit, have tasked me to consult on the design of the pavilion in terms of requirements as to technical equipment, layout, accommodations for the visitors, attendance as expected, and so forth. There is so much to be done and prepare. Turning on the flow regulator remains the most priority. We still have some months left to resolve the superheating issue, have hope for fine gauge electron filament. It strikes me that whatever investment explorations these firms have therefore conducted into the sphere of electricity, there's very few individuals whom they might turn and have any measure of particular experience extending beyond the realm of pure theory, and yet I had to go begging, hat in hand, to them for the opportunity to take part of the exhibit. Absent my generator, which can produce energy of a fraction of the cost of electricity, and with none of the pollution infrastructure, there would be nothing to present in their pavilion but promises and fair stories of future not yet in evidence. But I might not bristle at indignation, be grateful for my good fortune. At least the world will see the power of authenticity revealed in 1847. Horrors beyond uttering, I hardly bring myself to write for them here. Frank, poor Frank. How much does this go on? Like, this is just like, I'm not going to read all of this. I'll read it later in my own time. This is like an obscene amount of stuff. Let's just read the last entry. The fools who have done it, they have sliced off their nose and stamped upon it as they lay bleeding in the dust for spite. Our Prime Minister, having won re-election in defiance of decency and good sense, has moved swiftly to deliver on his campaign promise of signing a total immediate ban on all practical research, experiments, development, or theoretic technology. It's a dark age we live in, and thanks to Leroy and those elaborate technophobes, it is still that way. It is not yet clear what the repercussions will be here. So far from the halls of power, I have not wished to tempt fate, and I have ceased all public displays of my work. But will they remember the mad Dr. Clark, the erstwhile wizard of effericity in his self-imposed desert exile? Will they come looking for me like a scuttling bug? I must keep to the shadows and hope to escape notice. It is my only way forward. One day I hope to deliver the fire of identity to man, to light him up from darkness and keep him from the comfort and splendour. For this deed I can hope that my punishment will be less severe than that which Prometheus endured. My work continues.
February 9th, 1850.
That's only 9 months ago.
Clark, I have a business proposal. Relinquish that dusty laboratory in the middle of nowhere. Come to El Presidio. You may stay in my suite at the Jolly Good Club. My Orem Star membership and military rank afford me certain privileges. You will be furnished with the comforts owing to a man of your intellect and accomplishments.
It's signed L.
P.S. You needn't have any concern for your valuables, as there is ample secure storage in the room. One of the aforementioned perks.
Interesting. Jake will want to see this.
My men, like, what was the captain's name? Stokes. We don't know his first name, though. It's just signed L, but he talks about military perks and rank.
What in the ether is going on here?
Miss Larkin was kind enough to offer to paint my shadow.
In the altogether?
Well, didn't want to get my clothes dirty.
Besides, I paint the soul. The subject must bear himself and discard all excess.
Could we have a word in private, Jake?
Can't it wait? I'm a bit preoccupied.
He's listening to the lecture.
Let's go back and talk to the site. Let's go back and talk to him.
Hey, Phil?
What about? Whatever you...
Okay.
I will stay.
Oh, don't tell me I have to blow up the lab just to get them to stop having the whole conversation. I'll be annoyed if that's the case. Let's see if we can get in.
Hey! Guess he doesn't want to... Nobody in sight, but I'm...
Okay, so we can't go there.
If the smell's anything to go by, that crate's full of fertilizer. If this... All good with you?
Yes.
Full of grain, by the look of it. Hello again.
Miss Leger.
Your friend over there refuses to let me in to see Clark's artifacts.
Yes, Samuel is quite a stickler for the rules. Sometimes I think he lets his duties as the emissary's assistant get to his head.
It was good talking to you.
Goodbye.
See you later, Har.
Okay.
Suppose that's where the animals are kept.
What can we do?
Best not to interrupt. Hey, Jake. I've got something to show you.
So, show me.
I'd prefer to speak in private.
Can't it wait? I'm a mite indisposed at the moment.
It's to do with what we've been looking for.
Ah, well, in that case, excuse me a moment, won't you, darling? All right, what do you got?
I found Clark's journal. Have a look at this letter that was inside.
An invitation to the Jolly Good Club in El Presidio?
Yep. Check the date.
9 months ago. Nice sleuthing, Harley. Let's round up the others and say our goodbyes. We need to plan our next steps.
Leaving us so soon? But you've only just arrived.
We appreciate the hospitality, but it's time we moved on.
If your journey must continue, then so be it. But we cannot thank you enough for your discovery of Evocator Bennett's etheric cultivator, Miss Leger. Once we relocate and configure the equipment, our crops will surely flourish.
That's great to hear. I hope you'll all be well fed this winter.
Know that you will always find welcome in Chrysalis. Farewell, my friends.
Odd bunch of folks, but quite charming in their way.
Yeah, I'm ready to get out of here.
I, for one, am glad to be leaving.
Here, here.
Have we finished our business here, then?
Harley turned up Clark's diary.
More importantly, I found a letter inside inviting him to the Jolly Good Club in El Presidio. It was dated 9 months ago.
That's right about the time he disappeared, isn't it?
It is indeed. I'd say it's obvious that the good doctor accepted the invitation.
And took his money with him?
Well, it ain't here, or in his lab. And what's that postscript in the letter say, Harley?
You needn't have any concern for your valuables, as there is ample secure storage in the room.
Don't get much clearer than that.
So we're following him to El Presidio? That's a long way from here. We sure this isn't going to be a dead end?
You saw for yourself right there in black and white. Clark went to El Presidio, and so we go where the trail leads us. First and foremost, we need some transportation.
You haven't got any? Don't you tour around?
Sure, but our show wagon ain't gonna fit all of us.
Plus, we'll need it to store all the show's props and equipment while we're gone. There's that lady in town with a wagon now. Heard her talking at the saloon once. Said she hires it out to travelers.
Sounds promising. Who is she?
Her name's Lola Johnson. I think she stays in the old blacksmith shop.
Oh, well, I hope she has a forgiving nature.
Why's that?
She caught me breaking into her place.
What?
It's a long story.
We should head back to Rosewater, no?
Yeah, let's get a move on. Right. Harley, I'm putting you in charge of hiring us some transportation. Danny and I are going back to the theater to settle some business. Come get us once you've arranged a ride.
And just how am I meant to arrange it, financially speaking?
Well, now that may get a mite tricky. Our contract was to pay out at the end of the show's run, but seeing as we'll be breaking that contract, I'm sad to say we'll be forfeiting those proceeds. Anybody else got funds to contribute to the kitty?
Not unless this Johnson woman accepts pesos. And I've few enough of those at that.
I'm afraid I haven't got anything either.
Harley, my dear, I'm afraid we must then prevail upon you to furnish the petty cash needed to get our expedition aloft. Seeing as you're the only other one of our posse who's currently in the position of being gainfully employed. And it goes without saying, but you'll be fully reimbursed once we find what we're looking for, on top of your share, with interest.
I certainly hope so.
Wonderful. Well then, we'll be seeing you later.
What about you two?
I think I'll pay Dr. Sedgwick a visit. It's been ages.
And I owe him proper thanks for his care.
See you in a bit, Harley.
Right, so we're back in town. Okay. Phil and I have only got back to look behind the lock of the door of the lab, which hadn't, blah blah blah, lots of equipment. A lot of things, knew there must be something good stashed in the van. I was right, discovered the lead, jolly good club in El Paso. We're bound to El Paso, we need to get money. Lola Johnson has a wagon to hire and it is the person I see, which presents us with a problem. Since she caught me ripping her off and not likely to extend a warm welcome upon seeing me again, I'll have to find some way of mending fences or at least get, or we're going nowhere. Okay. Yeah. They're busted. Let's go back to the newspaper.
Good to see you again.
Let's write the article.
All right, let's get this thing knocked out. But first... Okay, time to bring home the bacon. The big question, how to open?
Open with an account of the bar brawl to catch everyone's attention. What's the cat? Yeah. Plus an account of the show.
From the moment he rode on stage astride a huge, steam-spewing mechanical horse, it could not be denied that Jake Ackerman was more than your typical copperpenny showman. Following that outstanding overture, Gentleman Jake's Wild West Spectacular proceeded in a similarly gobsmacking vein. Now the middle section needs to recapture the reader's interest. Let's see.
What about the interview? Ingenious escape plan.
They say the true mark of a person's character is how they behave under pressure. Mr. Ackerman showed nothing but resourcefulness when he found himself taken captive on one recent occasion, the details of which he was not at liberty to disclose. But he was able to recount his escape by means of a clever ruse involving the use of common household items. A true life tale rivaling the plots of the most lurid copper novels. And now for an ending.
Conclude by praising Jack, conclude by praising Rosewater. Let's praise Rosewater.
Mr. Ackerman is a great man, and by his visit to our industrious frontier town, proves that Rosewater is the sort of cosmopolitan crossroads where one might yet meet and mingle with some of the true luminaries of our age. All right, that should do it. Now, what should I title it?
The continued adventures of Gentleman Jack, the frontier hero comes to town, Jake Ackerman, a true gentleman.
The continuing adventures of Gentleman Jake.
Yeah.
And done.
Let's go and talk to the boss and see what she says.
Good to see you again, Harley. Hope you're spinning me some more.
Well, I've spent the past couple days following Jake around, gathering plenty of straw.
Glad to hear it. I like writers who go above and beyond. What do you need?
Say, did you ever get a chance to meet Dr. Bennett Clark?
Not personally, but I did attend one of his demonstrations at the Opera House back before the ban. The man knew how to put on a show, I'll say that much. Pity it all came crashing down in the end.
Have you encountered the Luminarians?
What in the ether is a Luminarian?
Oh, they're in the ether, all right. They're a community of folks living near Dr. Clark's old lab who have designated themselves protectors of his artifacts. They believe Dr. Clark transcended into the ether and joined some luminous beings that live there.
That's some wild stuff. But I publish newspapers, not copper novels.
Joni, I'd like to ask, could I get an advance on my article?
What for?
The long and the short of it is that Jake has invited me on an expedition. I'll need some extra crowns to cover the expenses.
What kind of an expedition?
We're going to look for Dr. Bennett Clark's missing fortune. Surely a far more interesting story, wouldn't you say?
You're right about that. Tales from the wild frontier are in vogue these days, and folk will be gumming to find out what happened to Clark. But I like people who finish what they start. Get me your assignment, then we can discuss your next one.
Understood. I'd best be on.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Let's give her the article.
Here you are, Joni. One profile of Gentleman Jake, ready to print.
Let's have a look. You know, writing the headline is normally the editor's job. Now let's see. Goodness, this account of the show is very descriptive. You've made me feel like I was there in the front row. This is good. You've kept it brisk all the way through. Woof, laying it on a bit thick at the end there, aren't you? Still, I asked you to make the town look good, and you delivered. I appreciate a writer who can take editorial direction. We'll work on the subtlety later. Not bad, Harley. Not bad at all. A few snips here and there, and this will be fit to print. Here's your fee, as agreed. Now I know what I'm working with, I'll have a think about your next assignment.
About that. How about that piece on the search for Clark's missing fortune? That'll be better than any old profile.
Sure enough. All right then. Clark's missing fortune it is.
I've got something else.
Oh? Do tell.
While I was going around with Jake, we spent some time with the Otham. I learned that they've come under constant attack from the soldiers at Fort Beaumont.
What? Why?
That's the thing. There's no reason. They pose no threat, yet the soldiers harass them anyway. In one recent raid, all their crops were torched.
That's atrocious. People need to know about this.
I'm glad you think so, because their leader wants their story told. She's willing to be interviewed. She gave me this statement, too.
Powerful stuff. I'll pay a visit as soon as I can and see for myself. Plenty of townsfolk could stand to learn about our neighbours in the valley. This could open their eyes.
I hope so. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to see about hiring a wagon.
Godspeed, Harley.
Okay. So we hit all the targets for that, so we got paid, which is good. Now, next chapter will be us getting and see if we can get the wagon, but that's for next time, folks. And nice to see you all again soon. Goodbye.